All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. We have a fun video today. I am submitting some cards to PSA this week, so I figured I would show my steps, my process of how to get more PSA 10s. So I'm going to do one non-foil and one foil. So these are both going to be pack fresh cards. I'm going to start with this Sylvan Library borderless card, non-foil, but one that I just really want for my collection in a PSA 10. I just like this artwork, and all the foils that I pulled were not worth grading. They were not in good enough print quality. So the first thing you want to know, and first thing to expect, is that PSA is not going to clean your card at all when they receive it. So however you send it in is how they are going to grade it. So if there's anything, crumbs or dust or fingerprints on your card, they're going to grade it just like it is. So the number one thing that we want to do is submit our card as clean as possible. That means we want to wipe it down. That means we want to put it in a brand new penny sleeve and a brand new top loader or card saver. I like card savers, so that's what I'm going to use. But it's very, very important that your card is as clean and pristine as you can get it when you send it in. Okay, so now, before we even decide to send in a card, we have to know the grading scale, right? How do they grade your cards? How do they determine if it's a 10 or a 9? Well, there's 4 main categories that they grade your cards on. That's going to be centering, make how centered the card is. You can see the border on each side, top to bottom, left to right. So this card, you can tell there's about equal space on the left side as the right side. And then top to bottom, it's just a really well-centered card. A lot of times they'll be misprinted where one side is clearly thicker and one side is clearly thinner than the other. So centering is number one, and it's the easiest one to tell right when you look at a card a lot of times if it's off center or not. So that's number one thing I look for. Number 2 is going to be the corners, right? So you want to take a very close look at each corner of the card to make sure that there's no dings, make sure they're just printed and came out of the pack. Non-played cards have typically really good corners. So that's number 2. And number 3 is going to be the surface of the card. So make sure there's no dents, no scratches, especially on foils, no anything on the surface, no pieces of lint, no anything dirty, color markings, nothing like that. And then the 4th is going to be the edges of the card. So the edges of the card is what I'm going to touch when I handle the card. I'm not going to touch the surface, just lightly holding the card on the edges. And we're going to look. You can tell sometimes if there's a ding on the edges, you'll see like black or some sort of edge wear. Typically, pack fresh cards edges are pretty good. Also, sometimes there can be, if it's a miscut card, there can be like little like pieces of paper that are just hanging off the edges. Sometimes those are ungradable. Sometimes you can wipe them down, wipe the edges, clean anything off the edges like this. What I like to use here is these are from sunglasses. They come, it's just sunglass cleaners that come in the case of any sunglass, pair of sunglasses. And then we're going to wipe down the surface, wipe down the edges. Can't really do anything with the corners. If there's anything noticeably wrong with the corner, you just don't submit the card. That's for sure. So this card is overall really nice. Surface, great. The centering is really good. The edges are very good. And so are the corners. I did notice there's one like down here in this corner. It's not dinged, but the way it was cut is like there's just a little bit of a lip on the bottom right corner. But everything else about the card is nice. So as long as you get an average of a 9.5 or better, you will get a 10. So what does that mean? That means if the surface is a 10 and the centering is a 10 and the edges are a 9 and the corners are a 9, that's an average of 9.5. So you'll get a 10. They do grade strictly, but I do believe that there is a chance that maybe this corner is a 9, but the surface is a 10, centering is a 10, and edges are a 10. So I do think this should return as a 10, but we will see. So I've wiped it down, cleaned it off. There's nothing on the card. So now I take a brand new penny sleeve, not the one I just took it out of. This one's brand new. Sleeve it up. And then we go and get a brand new, unused, straight out of a pack card saver. And we're in there. This is how they're going to receive the card. PSA will receive it just like this. Pull it out of both sleeves, and then they'll grade it. So that's the Sylvan Library. The second card I'm going to be grading is this foil Atraxa Grand Unifier. Another card that I just really want for my collection. You can see this first thing we're going to look at is centering. Centering on this card is really good. A lot of times you can look up here at the like the borders of the card up here where the name is. It's fairly easy to see how close together they are. Also, there's other indicators, like there's a black design on this card down here. You can see it, and you want them to match on both sides. Sometimes they're way off center, and this black line will go way up here, and then this one will come way, just like stop down here. That's a good way to tell too. As you can see on these ones, that black border part is very even on both sides. Foiling on this card, it's packed fresh, never been played. There are no scratches or fingerprints. I just took it straight out of a pack, straight into a penny sleeve. Same with the back, perfectly clean. The white you see up here, I can see it is just from the reflection of the lighting in the room. Really good card, really beautiful. I expect a 10 on this one, of course, or I wouldn't even send it in. But just gonna do a quick wipe down very gently. This is just to remove any possible dust or dirt or anything. And then very gently around the edges, just to, same thing, get rid of anything. Make sure I'm not touching the surface, which would leave a fingerprint. As you can see, if I take my hand off, there's no fingerprints where my fingers just were. And then we are going to fresh new penny sleeve. And then a fresh card saver. Perfect. You can get as many fingerprints on the penny sleeve or card saver as you want. Those don't matter at all. You can touch all that. You just don't want to be touching the surface of the card. Get oil and fingerprints. So then we got those, so we stack it there. And what we're gonna end up doing is stacking up maybe 25 cards or so, however many you want to submit, maybe 10, whatever you want. And then you want to make sure you pack them really well and nice and tight. I will usually have a stack, maybe 20 cards, and then I will rubber band around them. Usually I'll put cardboard on the front and back and then rubber band around the cardboard so that it's just squeezing nice and tight so that these cards don't slide out of your card saver. They don't need a lot of pressure. Just pieces of cardboard on each side, rubber banded, and they won't go anywhere. And you pack them up in a box, use bubble wrap, send them into PSA, and you just wait. That's the game. So sending off these two along with some others, and we'll see how we do. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and learned something today, subscribe to the channel, and we'll have more videos like this in the future.